me introduce a second speaker, who is Tomas Hudecek from Prague Institute of Planning and Development. And the presentation has a name, Smart Management Control Layers of a Learning City. So, Tomas, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Mirek, good morning. Good morning to all participants. Thank you very much that can be here. And let me introduce something from my past experience from my duty when I was a mayor of the city of Prague, combined with some experience from my today's job, which is at the Prague Institute of Planning and Development, and also combined with my recent 5 years long research, which I wrote down into my book, City Management and Administration. First of all, today I will tell you something about smart management and about learning cities and learning city. And I have to start with the names, with the headline. So every complex system, and city is a complex system, has control layers. And human is said to have 9 of these control layers. And it is a system of feedbacks that work in interaction with each other and is responsible for example, gripping a cup of tea while the control center in our head sends only a command: lift the cap, and the hands, of course, take the cap, usually correctly. The city also has control layers and also states and other social, economic, geographical, administrative units. And in a moment, I will get to what these layers look like and what they do. A long time ago, city was a city-state. Thus, both city, state, and social organization. While today, cities are within societal organization, but they are growing in importance. So the state of cities are quite different from the past. Growth of power is the factor which is very clear when looking in the past. After the empires in the 18th century occupied the entire planet, the turn inward of this growth of power happened. Back to today's states and nowadays to the level of cities. On the one hand, there is again a focus today on cities because of their bigger and bigger importance in society. But on the other hand, this importance is diametrically different type of meaning. Cities are within a society-wide organization. Therefore, cities are extremely important for our entire society, but at the same time, their management is not the same as in the ancient Greek period. That time, city management meant managing the whole society, because cities were both society, state, and city. And of course, bad city management that time meant usually a collapse of the city. Today, cities are connected on planet Earth through lower control layers. It's similar to the connection among trees in a forest. Through their roots and molds, they are connected into one large organism, which enables such miracles as, for example, a living stump. Today, cities are also connected in our world through a number of information channels, including the digital network, but not only. Supply and production chains, the media, digital media, these are all links that connect cities. And this connection allows cities to stay in what we called competition, staying on the world map. To be successful for every city in this competition means to be better in learning all the things necessary for people's life within a city. And therefore, the task of today's cities is to introduce systemic learning at all levels of government. Learning city is a necessary, of course not sufficient, condition for the future development of the city. The second such condition is, of course, good political representation, and moreover, within a well-chosen electoral system. I'll tell you something about Czech electoral system later. Sorry. Two highest control layers of a city are politicians, it means self-government of a city, and clerics, officials, city administration, we should say. They are made up of people, and in large cities, there is a professional component in the second highest control layer, the conceptual or usually called planning institution, like Institute of Planning and Development, like some departments of the city hall in Vienna, for example, in Amsterdam, etc. The two highest control levels or layers of the city, politicians and officials, each have different roles. I like the comparison with our brain, because these control layers behave similarly, quite similarly to human consciousness and the subconscious. When we are unconscious, as a man, we are still alive, but we pulled by the situation around us. We are pulled by the situation around us. We are usually reacting hysterically. We don't think broadly in terms of time. We are not able to see far impacts of our behavior. Contrary, when we do not have the subconscious, we are not able to make decisions at all. We lack the engine and emotional feelings of I want or I don't want that allow us to make decisions. Many books have been written about this in the field of psychology in the last 20 years. But back to cities and their two highest control layers. When politicians, as the highest control layer, are missing, you don't see this as a normal people for a while in the life of the city. But after some short period of time, month, maybe 2 months, however, the decline begins to happen. The lower control layer, officials, starts to miss the reason to work well. The pressure connected with the overall development of society and thus also the development around the city will disappear. Today, unlike in the past, the city's surroundings are a global society, which is also a big change from some decades or centuries ago. When there are no officials and even lower levels of management responsible for example, the transport system or social infrastructure, the urban organism starts to collapse immediately. Usually, and this is what is the picture about. The highest control layer of a system is responsible for the ability to learn from the experiences of others. It is because the highest control layer in the city, politicians, touch the outer environment, while the lower control layer of the system is usually responsible for the ability to learn from its own experience, from our own experience. For example, in a city, experiencing a flood, which in Prague were in 2002 or in 2013, the last two, means preparing for a future flood. On the contrary, preparation for a flood that has not yet been in the city requires the activity of the highest control layer, politicians. However, in both layers is crucial the ability to learn. And this ability is very limited for politicians because there are every 4 years the new ones. So we cannot await it from politicians that they will learn, because after 4 years usually they are dismissed and there are some new people inside the highest control layer of a city. So thus more is necessary. This ability to learn is more necessary for officials, for the second highest control layer, not for politicians. And of course, the ability to learn is very important for the planning organization, like Institute of Planning and Development, which is part of the second highest control layers. It is a part of the city administration of the officials, of clerks. So, what to do if cities want to improve their responses to changes in the neighborhood, in the surroundings, in the outer environment? It means, for example, in a region. How do we achieve smart management, and what exactly is smart management? Smart management is a type of management that responds quickly and adequately to changes that take place around the city, in its surroundings, and also within the urban organism itself. However, the highest control layer, politicians, similarly to our brain, to our consciousness, needs to constantly supply the emotions I want versus I don't want from the lower control layers. So the lower control layer must therefore constantly generate graphs, curves, charts of development of the city. In other words, what I want to say, predicting future states without the intervention politicians have to be in place. It is similar to having the urge to do something when I'm talking about normal people, about us. A similar urge is needed for politicians to have reason to act, to make a decision. So there must be some type of pressure from the lower control layer towards the higher control layer. If there is not this pressure, it means that the organism, the system, is not able to decide. So how does smart management work? What information inputs should be correctly passed between the two highest control layers when it exists? So we are talking about the relationship between politicians and officials, and we are talking about the necessity information which should flow from the lower control layer to the higher one, from when we are talking about the two highest control layers, from officials towards politicians. In other words, what need politicians to know? And I divided this theme into three main parts. The first, politicians from the lower control layers need to know that something is wrong. What, in other words, means that the officials have to analyze the current state and the past development of the city, continuously analyze the current state and past development of a city. Second, politicians need to know from officials and from lower control layers, and we as a normal inhabitants of a city are parts of some lower control layers. We are elements of a city. So politicians need also that if they don't decide, the situation will be even worse and worse. In other words, officials have to extrapolate for politicians the possible future states of the city. And third, politicians need to know what are the costs of the change in comparison with other costs of other changes. In other words, officials have to be able to set or to discuss or to visualize priority tasks of a city. Such rapid transfer of information needs a huge effort of number of experts, or, and this is very important, digital modeling, where real-time modeling or for modeling in times of crisis, or near real-time modeling for decision-making of political representation in times of calm, or agent modeling. None of these tasks for the largest cities in the settlement system is basically in the power of any currently existing workplace. Planning organizations, universities, research institutes. Theoretically, it would be possible to consider some specialized scientific research university or urban institution dealing with something as cityology, which includes everything necessary: technology, urbanism, economics, sociology, law, and countless other disciplines. In reality, however, such institutions are not here today. And perhaps this should not be the goal of our effort. It's probably not even possible to drive something like that. There are no people who understand such an issue in general. So it seems that in these two making up such complex institution, which could be responsible and very helpful to a city with its complexity, and on the other hand, such type of digital modeling, it seems that the second way is the only possible when we are talking about big cities. Moreover, in the Czech Republic, and this is very interesting, is also encounters the problem of the electoral system. Politicians are very quickly pushed towards doing nothing because in the number of representatives and in the Czech insane metrics of mutual and basically always necessary problematic interpersonal relations. In Prague, for example, 1,171 representatives are elected every 4 years to agree on developmental decisions, what is ridiculous. About half a year after the elections, you can imagine that any political decision becomes so difficult and it cannot be provided. Usually, at the beginning of second, same political representation is the so-called decision window for a few stronger political measures. Quite a short window, isn't it? If you want to imagine how many representatives, and this one is a man like me or my colleagues in the past. So in the city of Prague, every 4 years, we are electing this number of representatives into the city hall, into the Prague City Assembly, and into small Prague city assemblies. So the solution seems is therefore the only one: making a digital model of the city, for which the second highest control layer, the officials and planners, with cooperation of universities, could help to the development and to the city and to the highest control to politicians. Better the entire infrastructure is, from sensors through computer scripts, analytical and visualization tools. And of course, a suitable interface is necessary that enable using the city model for laymen or by laymen. Laymen from the informatics point of view, of course. I'm talking when I'm talking about laymen, I mean urban planners, economists, and finally, of course, normal people and companies. So also the interface of this model is very important for the development of this model. So, conclusion. I highlighted 5 points. Smart government means easy and quick flow of information between control layers of a city, and I tried to explain you how I see control layers of a city, how I see the two highest, the most important control layers of a city. So when I am talking about smart government and quick flow of information between control layers, I am talking mainly about the flow between politicians and clerks and officials, and of course with inside the officials, inside the second highest control layer, there's included some planning and conceptual organization, like for example Institute of Planning and Development. Second, the two highest control layers of a city are politicians and officials. Third, learning city means that every control layer is able to do systemic learning, and this is the main problem. Politicians are changing every 4 years. So every politician, or each politician, of course, he could stay there for longer time, but in big cities in the Czech Republic is not so usual. So we need to count that every 4 years the political representation is changed. So about learning city, we have to support this by some effort inside the lower control layers, so inside officials or inside other control layers, like for example, people in front office, people in fire department, and in other organizations and institutions of cities. Digital modeling of a big city is the only possible way towards smart city management. This is my conclusion from my research in the last 5 years. Development of a big city is only possible through the digital modeling of the city, because there is not in the Czech Republic such a huge and complex institution which can help similarly in the similar way as a digital model to the political representation and officials. And the last conclusion, digital twin city is a task for the second highest control level of a city. So officials, we are talking about officials, especially in the Czech Republic. So where is it in this? Where is this in process? Singapore, Swiss, for example. Where doesn't work? Definitely in Czech Republic. For Prague and Institute of Planning and Development, we recently decided to change this. And the interesting thing in my personal case is that it didn't work out from the highest control layer. So we are trying to push this from the position, from my today's position of the second highest, of someone in the second highest control layer among officials and inside the planning organization. So thank you for organizing this conference, because it's very well connected with this topic and our today's effort and intention. Thank you, Mirek and Easy, for the opportunity to present the urgency of this topic, and to all of you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Tomas, thank you very much for your very practical presentation. I'm very happy that we can long-term cooperate in this area. Maybe I have short questions. What are the main bottlenecks of current Prague, and do you think that the smart city concept can improve these bottlenecks?
From the point of view of city management and administration, is definitely the fragmentation of the administration. So because of the Czech electoral system, inside the city assembly, there are a lot of parties, a lot of members of different political parties, and also inside the city assembly, inside the government of a city, which consists of 11 members. Each of them has different responsibility for different topic in a city. So, for example, we have a deputy mayor responsible for transport. We have deputy mayor responsible for land use development. We have a member. Three of these 11 members are responsible for housing in today's city assembly, which is also ridiculous. How can they make an agreement on everything? So I think this is one very important bottleneck for introducing any part of smart technology, smart management inside a city. The second one is maybe a little bit low connection between organizations of a city with universities. This is maybe second one. I think that we will change this in the future. And this is what I call systemic learning, because the lower control layers should be able to learn also without the help of politicians. So maybe some opinion, some feelings that the officials shouldn't do anything without the command from political representation, maybe is also a bottleneck, because officials and clerks should be mainly in the, for example, Institute of Planning and Development should be should want to learn and to learn the city to be smart and to be better than, for example, Vienna or other other enemies within Europe. So I think these three bottlenecks I can say is the most important today in the city of Prague, of course.
Oh, thank you once again for your presentation, and looking forward for future cooperation. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.